Do not adjust your digital device. What you are about to see and hear may shock and appall you. Join our hosts as they encounter countless thrills, spills, chills, and hilarity as they explore the very weirdest in pop culture. The following media is so strange, so beyond the scope of what is normal, it will make you ask the question, why does this exist? Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Why Does This Exist? I'm Chris.
And I'm Rob.
And today we have a very nice show about a real stud, if you want to call him that. He may be half bomb, but he's all man. We're going to be talking about Bomberman. Or is he half man, half bomb? I'm really not sure. He could be a number of things. Or is he...
I thought he was a robot.
Or is he all bomb... Wait, he's all bomb, no man?
I don't know. I thought he was a robot man. Like Mega Man. Except with bombs.
So is he part man?
He's not a man at all, really. He's just a robot. I don't know if he's a robot.
Is he part man, part robot, part bomb?
Is he? I don't know.
Is he all robot? With bombs?
He's a bomb diffusing robot, except the opposite of a bomb diffusing robot. He's a bomb planting robot.
He's a bomb planting robot. Well, he's Mr. Bombastic. He's fantastic. We're going to be talking about Bomberman today. Before we get right to it, let me just run down our quick spiel that we always do. We are Why Does This Exist? We are a podcast that talks about the very weirdest in pop culture, whether that be a strange video game or video game character, as we are about to do and present to you, a strange movie, or movie/music like we did last week, talking about Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Rainbow, which is not officially Pink Floyd's, but it's a combo of Pink Floyd and the Wizard of Oz. Or we can end up talking about a strange TV show, or anything of that nature, things pertaining to strange TV shows, such as horrible wrestling gimmicks, which we've also done in the past. Look it up. Listen to our show, and then you can hear me lose my sanity in real time. You can help support it in other ways, other than listening to it, which you can do on every single platform that you get your podcasts, wherever you do, however you do it. Just make sure you give us 5 stars and a nice rating, so that other people can find us and get infected by our ravenous disease of knowledge, or lack thereof. Maybe they'll just be satisfied with us rambling about just rambling in general for an hour every week. Sometimes, too. You can support us with physical dollars by heading on over to patreon.com/whydoesthisexist. You could give us some money. You'll join our Discord. That will get you in the club. That big club that you and I are not in. It won't get you in there, but it will get you in our little club, where you could berate us and tell us that we have the worst show in the world, or the best show in the world. Tell us how we brighten or darken your day. I really don't care. You'll also be able to find out about whatever it is that we're doing down the pipeline. And if you give us enough money, which I think it's about $10, you could actually be on the show, and you can just talk to us, and we could do a full episode with whatever your heart desires. You can also support us on social media. That's Twitter at twitter.com/WDTEpod. You can like us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/whydoesthisexistpod. And you can also check out our episodes and some very cool articles written by our man Tony, who was on a few episodes ago talking about Ween, and our bonus episode about the Vince McMahon trials and sexual harassment things, which have basically gone away already.
Yeah.
That's the news. Here's the weather. You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge from a ragtag group of rogues. Let's get on with the goddamn show. Oh yeah, you can find us on YouTube also, and like, comment, subscribe, do the thing. And maybe if you want to be a private investigator or talker, you can email us at whydoesthisexistshow@gmail.com. My teeth are chattering out of my mouth. Let's talk about Bomberman.
All right. So Bomberman is, of course, a video game franchise. Been around for quite a while now. First released in Japan in 1983, and it's pretty much gone continuously since then. Actually, there's been less games in recent years, but the most recent one that was released was Super Bomberman R Online. That was released in 2020, and Super Bomberman R2 is coming out next year.
So
the basic premise
for the Switch and all the other next-gen consoles. We'll be getting the Super Bomberman R for all of the current-gen consoles, what you will. Also, the logo is kind of cool. I like the R2 thing with the planet and stuff.
So it's basically the premise is it's like it's hard to say I guess you could say it's an action game, but there are some puzzle elements to it. Especially the way the bombs blow up and stuff. There's like definitely a strategy towards it. So it's more than just an action game. It kind of has some puzzle elements to it. And basically you play as Bomberman, the titular character of Bomberman, also known as White Bomberman because he's the main Bomberman has a white helmet.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're in Europe, he was originally known as Dyna Blaster in Europe.
Yes. So, I don't know, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought.
Oh no.
So, basically, the basic premise is that you go through and it depends on the game because each Bomberman game has a little bit of a different thing. There's also different modes. There's campaign mode. It's famous for its multiplayer mode. But basically, the campaign mode, you go through the levels and you plant bombs to destroy the enemies. And I would say the campaign mode is probably the most puzzle-like. You know, the versus mode tends to be more action-based, especially if you're playing with 4 players. So, you know, the basic campaign mode, you're basically just go through the levels, you bomb the characters, and you solve puzzles with bombs, and, you know, you can blow up parts of the scenery, too, to get more items, and different items do different things. You get, like, the bomb item that lets you lay more bombs, and the fire item, which increases the explosive force of the bomb, so the range of the fire. And there's an interesting little piece of it, too, that you can blow yourself up, so you actually have to be careful where you plant bombs and how you plant them, because you can end up trapping yourself and blowing yourself up. So there is, again, that element of strategy to the game. There's also been some more just platform action games, specifically Bomberman Hero. That came out on the N64. And it was in, you know, the whole Bomberman universe, but it was a platformer game rather than a, you know, kind of action strategy game. So, you know, there was more traditional kind of levels. The bosses were more you know, a traditional platforming boss. But it was a really good game. It was actually pretty fun.
I've actually never played Bomberman 64. I've always wanted to.
Well, Bomberman 64 was actually a separate game that was more in the traditional vein of Bomberman, being like an isometric view, kind of puzzle action game. Whereas Bomberman Hero was a traditional 3D platformer, you know, kind of like Mario 64 or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting. You know, I would like to try that one too. Yeah,
it was actually pretty fun, and the storyline is basically it's very similar to and could possibly be based upon, according to Wikipedia, Star Wars.
Really? I'm reading this. A princess steals a secret data disk from an evil empire, and she safely smuggles out the information through a robot, but has captured herself. Where have I seen that before? That is pretty much the opening moments of A New Hope, of Star Wars in general. So that's actually hilarious. But I remember playing... I played a lot of the Super Nintendo ones in the original SNES games. There's actually a ton of Bomberman games. This guy here, Tired Old Hack, TiredOldHack.com. He's got an article for the complete history of Bomberman. Maybe we should have... I wish we found out about this guy beforehand. Maybe we should have tried to get a hold of him, but also I have no idea if this site is even still functional. This article was from 2017. But apparently, according to this fella, there's 80-something titles in total. Like, there have been a lot of Bomberman games that have been released over however long that he's been around. Roughly 80 is what we've got. But since, 1983 through, I guess 2023 will be... It's just been so many. And like you said, there haven't been many that were released in the past several years. I mean, really, there wasn't anything from 2010 through 2017. Yes. And then 2017 took another break with Super Bomberman R to it being ported online in 2020. So that doesn't even really count. And now we're going to get Super Bomberman R2 in 2023, or we hope. Let's see if we still have some chips left. But before that, from 2010 through 1990, there were games released just about every single year, it seems,
and sometimes multiple per year.
Yes, sometimes multiple. 1998 was a big year. Then you got 6 Bomberman titles that year, which that's crazy how you could get all these different ones. And the first couple of years, it was pretty consistent of just the first of 83 through 85, you got 3, and then they skipped through 87, and then once they got to, and then they skipped 80 through, 88 through 90. But once we got to 90, they never stopped coming until 2011, which is just freaking crazy. I don't know if are there any other titles that have had that many releases?
It'd be hard to say. I mean, you could probably look at Mario or something like that, or games like that, but
I highly doubt that
Nintendo
there's been 80-something Mario games. I mean, I would say that there's probably been 80 to 100 games with Mario in it, or Mario.
Well, I think that's the same kind of thing here. A lot of them are. Bomberman was also in a lot of games that wasn't specifically his game necessarily.
No, these all have the title Bomberman.
Oh, that's true. These all have the Bomberman title.
They all have the Bomberman title, so he is the leading character in these games.
Yeah.
So that's just incredible. I mean, sure, a lot of them must have been handheld games and then on a regular console, but still.
Yeah, but if you think about all the handheld.
That's still
the handheld Mario and stuff. You could it's probably pretty close to this with Mario as well. I think my earliest experience with Bomberman, I also had the Super Nintendo. I had Super Bomberman 2 specifically, which was really fun. I have a lot of great memories, growing up with my friends. Yes, so Super Bomberman 2 specifically. The multiplayer, like I said, we would play for hours in my basement, growing up, just constant multiplayer Bomberman 2. I never was able to get a multi-tap for Super Nintendo, so we only ever played 2 players, but, it was 4-player capable if you had the Super Nintendo multi-tap. So, unfortunately, for the American audience, only Super Bomberman 1 and 2 were released in the United States. Super Bomberman 3 was released in Europe and Japan, but not the US. And then starting at Super Bomberman 4, it became Japan only. The interesting thing is that it went up to Super Bomberman 5, which was the last Bomberman on the Super Nintendo. But it came out in 1997, which was a good way into the N64's life cycle. So this is actually one of the last games to come out on Super Nintendo.
Wow. Yeah, I did have Super Bomberman 2, and I had a lot of fun playing that game, but that game got me grounded probably more times than any other game that I've played.
Yeah, the single player was incredibly hard in that game.
Oh my god. As a child, I got Well, that was I probably rage quit and broke so many. Well, I don't even know how. Actually, no, we didn't really break Super Nintendo controllers.
They were invincible. You could fucking throw them against a brick wall.
Oh yeah, they were pretty damn sturdy, I'll have to say.
Yeah.
For all the abuse that I've given that I gave them, I remember just like trying to break them in half because I was so angry and I couldn't do it.
Yep.
Either that or I was either that or I was a really weak freaking kid. But regardless, those controllers would not break no matter how hard you threw them or if you jumped on them or anything. You could really put those things through the ringer and they'd still friggin' work. Not like now where like if you look at it funny, it's gonna just like burst into flames.
Yeah.
But my God, those controllers could really take a beating. There were many, many weeks that I did not spend in a calendar year playing video games because I got caught cursing in Bomberman. Or sometimes even just looking angry. My dad would catch it and he would say, I'm going to stop you from cursing, so now you're grounded just for thinking about it. And then I didn't play Nintendo for 2 weeks. And I was pissed, and that's what happened. But now it's way too easy for a kid to just, to just keep doing it because mom and dad aren't home. They're working all the time. And on top of that, neither of them is going to like have the patience to discipline this kid and just, shove him in the room or just like take the Nintendo or whatever it is away. For a week. Plus, most of the time, your damn kid's going to have a phone, and what does a 5-year-old need a phone for? But I digress.
It's crazy.
I digress. What do you, like, who is your kid going to call?
Yeah.
Not Ghostbusters, so don't even bother.
Well, so they could play apps and watch friggin' YouTube and play Minecraft and stuff. That's what, like, these kids are getting phones now for.
Yeah, no, play outside like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Anyway. Bomberman was a ton of fun to play. I haven't played it in a very long time. I probably stopped playing it because I got grounded, but Super Bomberman 2 was probably my favorite one, just because it was very challenging, and like every level you have to get to the exit, and there's all of these things, and these creatures, and these fortresses, and all these other things, and sometimes bosses just blocking your way so that you can't get to the exit, and you have to blow everything up. But like you said, you do have to do it strategically. You do have to make sure that you yourself don't get stuck and blow yourself up. This especially can happen when you have some of the various power-ups where, like, you could drop multiple bombs that can even chain into each other, or your blast radius will increase. Mm-hmm. So you really have to watch out because sometimes you just end up blowing yourself up by accident. More often than not, you will die because you walked into your own trap or you can't get out of it or whatever it is. Like, I would say 90% of the times that you die, it's your own damn fault. Where in most other games there'll be there'll be an obstacle or there'll be a bad guy or a boss or something. But in Bomberman, it's pretty much all on you because you have to really plan ahead. And it's not even a pattern thing. It's just like, it's really more of knowing how much time you have to get out of there.
Yes. And really, you have to like really pay attention to like where the corners are and where like, where the walls end and stuff, because you could end up like ending up like going to where you're going to get hit by your blast and you don't even realize it a lot of the times. So it's definitely like just more challenging than like a traditional like just action game. And again, like having all those power-ups and getting like the the fires that increase your bomb strength and stuff, like, it's great. And it really helps you out, but it's also could be a detriment because you have to like be way more careful after that. So you have to like, it's kind of like a give and take thing. You have to like really like, look at what your the items you're collecting and make sure that you don't like overextend yourself basically, and make it so you're like, you end up like screwing yourself over and just exploding and losing. which is, and this game is like incredibly unforgiving in that regard.
Oh, absolutely. It is it's very challenging, especially when you're a young child who is set off by, well, no pun intended, is set off by things not quite going their way, or just not fully comprehending what happens until it's way too late.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have a bad time and you're gonna get grounded. But
yeah,
it's a ton of fun, and if you haven't played it by now, you need to get out there and just like play a Bomberman game. Definitely, I definitely want to give Super Bomberman R a whirl. I imagine since they announced Super Bomberman R2 about a week ago, there might maybe you'll get lucky and you'll catch some sales over the summer.
Yeah. The Steam Summer Sale is always going, or, it's always a thing, and I'm pretty sure it is available on PC, so Steam would be the place to get it. But, it's, for the multiplayer, it would probably be, especially, having online multiplayer, because, back growing up when we played this, you had to, sit in a room, and connect a bunch of controllers, so it's definitely a whole different level when you can play online. I was going to say, Bomberman 64, which is probably the best one that I've played. It's my favorite. I never had it growing up. I actually didn't play Bomberman 64 until I was maybe in high school or so, because my friend had it, and we would just sit and play old N64 games. And that one was really fun, and it had another cool aspect where you could actually hold the bomb button down, and you could grow a bigger bomb. Basically, it was interesting. And I'm not sure if any of the other 3D Bombermans have done something like that, but it was really fun because you had to it would take a little bit to charge up. You'd have to actually plan it out and charge it up, and it was it was a give or take thing. It could be really good for you, or you could screw yourself over and blow yourself up. So it was really cool. I mean, that's pretty much the 9 times out of 10 how you're going to die in Bomberman unless you're really good is blowing yourself up.
Exactly.
It's just it's one of those things. Unfortunately, it's just. That's just how Bomberman is, until you really get used to it. And even still, you could be a really expert player and just not see, especially when you're playing 4 players and just so much going on and so many bombs on the screen, you might just not see, where what's going on.
Oh yeah, and there's also various other characters in Bomberman too. It's not just Bomberman, and Bomberman has also had his own. He's also had his own TV shows. I don't.
Yeah, there's been several animes.
Yeah, there hasn't been anything in the States as far as I'm concerned, or anywhere else in the world. But he has had several Bomberman cartoons in Japan and or anime.
I think they were released in America, if I remember correctly. I'm sure they were at some point dubbed.
I'm sure there was a dub of them because I want to say that I saw something on Fox, on a Fox commercial when they did an anime thing or something, or maybe I'm having a Mandela effect. I really am not sure, but it
was definitely on one of the Saturday morning kind of cartoon programs.
Something.
If it wasn't Fox, it was Warner Brothers or whatever,
Yeah, I think the most known one is Bomberman Jetters.
Yes.
But I am not totally sure if it's been in the States. But it would be interesting to check out, and I'm sure there's going to be somebody who comments on our YouTube videos or yells at us and is just "You idiot! Why didn't you watch this show? Why didn't you do your research?" It was my favorite. There's actually one track that they use in the anime that sounds almost identical to the Seinfeld theme song.
That's pretty hilarious.
I think it is quite funny. So there's some interesting there's just interesting trivia, and in one episode, I'm looking now on the Bomberman Wiki or BombermanFandom.com Wiki, where it's there's an episode where it aired in Canada, Jetters. So
okay,
there's definitely a dub somewhere. But there's like an episode where he's playing Bomberman with one of his friends, which is just, funny. But there are various characters. There's Black Bomberman, also known as Cool Black, and Bomberman Land Touch, which is another one of the many, many games. Pretty much the same. He's just black. And, earlier on, he was the main rival. And then eventually he's like some kind of a friend of his. Then you have Max, who appears in Bomberman Max, one of the another various games.
It's kind of similar. I will say
similar to Mega Man in some capacities. Except
yes, that's what I was going to say.
Except where Mega Man adopts the powers of his fallen enemies, Bomberman
just blows them up.
he just gets better bombs and that's about it. He doesn't take away their powers. He's not like Kirby, who is a masochist and just eats everything and then consumes them. Kirby is the devil, I have to say.
Kirby is an eldritch abomination.
I think so. I think Kirby is an eldritch horror.
Yeah, so the similarities between Mega Man are pretty, distinct, and it's funny because so Mega Man, of course, is made by Capcom, and one of Capcom's main rivals is Konami, who owns the rights to Bomberman. So you got to kind of wonder if they were trying to make something to capitalize on one of their main rivals.
It's
something
possible.
That's so similar.
Mega Man came out in what year?
So the original Mega Man, let's see. The original Mega Man actually came out in 1987.
Oh, so...
So maybe it's the other way around then.
Perhaps. Since
I don't know if Konami owned Bomberman at the time in the 80s yet. I know they own them now.
They might not, because the original developer was Hudson Soft.
Yeah, well, Hudson Soft is still the developer. Konami was just the publisher.
Oh, okay.
I believe. Actually, it looks like...
hold on. I want to say it wasn't originally owned by Konami. I'm sure Konami picked it up. Oh, no,
Konami is the developer also. So it wasn't... Hudson Soft has always been involved with Bomberman. It's been their project from the start.
Hudson Soft isn't a company anymore. They got... it looks like they got bought by Konami, and they merged in 2012.
Yeah.
And Konami Digital Entertainment survived. And then they just got rid of Hudson Soft, which I guess they still use for maybe Bomberman things alone.
A lot of when these smaller companies get absorbed, they kind of just become like a development house for the larger company. That was notorious with EA. Is where they would buy a smaller company, they would just make that company their development, but a lot of times they would just fire the whole staff and rehire new people. And that's kind of what happened with Rare when they got bought by Microsoft.
Hudson helped create the Mario Party games, actually.
Yes. Oh, Hudson Soft was actually a pretty big developer, and they were known for a lot of different games. So, unfortunately, it's one of those things. The game industry often happens where these smaller companies just get bought up by larger companies, and then they die,
right?
And everything sucks.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm sure we talked about the whole Microsoft Rare and acquisition debacle at length in our second episode, the Banjo-Kazooie episode.
Mm-hmm.
Just to recap it, Big Bang took Little Bank, and they just completely gutted it of any character or passion that it had left, and really just didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Which then we ended up getting, years later we ended up getting Playtonic Games, which has, I want to say, which has a bulk of the team that made Banjo-Kazooie what it was, so they ended up making Yooka-Laylee, which we again talked about at full length in that particular episode. But as a recap, they're back in action in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we'll be getting a ukulele 2 or a tukulele, whatever they want to call it.
They'd probably call it tukulele.
They probably will. They probably will.
You quick patent it so they have to buy it from you.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to just buy up tukulele.com just in case and just charge them squillions of dollars. Oh,
well, now they're going to listen to this podcast and know that we're our evil plan.
That would be a Vince McMahon move.
Then we would have gotten away with it, too. So, there was a really bad Bomberman game that came out, and I never played it, but I remember seeing it, and I was appalled by it because of how stupid it was.
I'm sure there were a couple. I mean, when you have something titles, you're gonna have a couple of duds.
This was specifically in the time where all these edgy remakes or edgy characters that were based on old childhood franchises were coming out. So I'm talking about Bomberman Act Zero, which came out for Xbox 360 in 2006, and it they completely changed the design of the whole game and of Bomberman, and it was so stupid, and it was universally panned pretty much because it was not really that good of a game, and they were like, what the hell did they do to Bomberman? And this was, again, this was the time in video game history where we had games like Shadow the Hedgehog, where everyone was trying to take these cutesy characters and make them edgy and dark. God. So unfortunately, Bomberman kind of gets swept up in that, and we got one of the shittiest games ever made. And I never played it. I refused to play it because I took one look at it and I was like, this is not Bomberman, and I just never looked at it again. And again, rightfully so, it was universally panned by critics.
Oh my god, I have seen the title. I have seen this in stores. It's $1.
Yeah. Yeah, it was always $1. And I think they eventually put it on the Xbox Live Arcade, and it was super cheap too.
Oh yeah, this has got a 2.9 out of 10 on GameSpot, 3 on IGN, GamePro gave it a 2, Metacritic gave it a 34 out of 100. Yeah. This is universally horrendous.
Yes. Yeah, IGN has been known.
Why did they make him look like that?
I don't know. It's so weird and bizarre. It's they try to make him to more of a robot or so, but it's they completely changed the design.
They
it's
completely
not even close.
Missed the point.
Right. And they tried to make it all serious and stuff. It's you're not blowing up creatures and stuff. Now it's you're only fighting robots and fucking shit like that. It's not just blowing up fantasy creatures. Oh
god! I hope there isn't a plot, and I hope there isn't a love interest in the plot, and there's a part where he's just oh man, baby, and then they hit the music and Barry White comes on.
Oh no!
And then and then there's a mini game. Oh wait, no, that's Grand Theft Auto. But yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, it was rated T for teen because why? Because when I think of Bomberman, I think of teenagers playing this, not 5-year-old me getting grounded for cursing every weekend.
So apparently, going back to Hudson Soft, they also developed the New Japan Pro Wrestling video games for the Nintendo 64.
Hudson Soft also developed Act Zero.
I've never played Act Zero.
Well, don't. But yeah,
it was bad.
This was that's the bad Bomberman game.
Oh, yeah, Bomberman Act Soft. Sorry,
Hudson Soft developed that too.
Yes, they did.
I mean, that was probably under the orders of the evil empire Konami saying, well, we own you, so frickin' do it,
Well,
Jack.
Konami was putting out good games at this time, though. Fucking Metal Gear Solid, was around that time. Either 4 or... I know, obviously, there was Snake Eater, and then 4 came out shortly after that. So, it's not like Konami was averse to making good games.
No, I'm not saying that they made bad games on purpose, but this game was probably somebody was you know what, we could use a new Bomberman game, but we need to make it edgy and gritty because that's what the kids want, and just didn't know what it was. Probably came down from somebody who had never played a Bomberman game, didn't know what it was, didn't understand why anybody cared about it, but just knew there were a bunch of them, so let's just make more of them. Or maybe somebody in a meeting just said, oh, you those Hudson Soft guys want to do another Bomberman game, and the person was probably like, "Oh, well, let's do all this stuff to it."
Yeah. Well, and at this point, you don't know who was still in the Hudson Soft development team, or like if like Konami had cleaned house by that point.
Well, exactly. Really, it's impossible to know.
Yeah. Especially because they didn't last much longer after that. You know, that came out in 2006, and Hudson Soft went defunct in 2012. So, and if you look at the list of games that Hudson Soft made, they actually weren't. There wasn't much after that. They did a lot of mobile phone games in the 2000s, but really console games they pretty much ended in the late 2000s.
Yeah, if you're a console developer and you start making mobile games,
that's the end of your life, pretty much.
Pun intended, you have no more shelf life.
But they made Bomberman Touch and Bomberman Touch 2 for the iOS.
I don't want to be touched by Bomberman, because then I'll blow up. But he's all man. Or part bomb, or all bomb and some man, I don't know.
Well, I guess he's just a man that makes bombs. He's like a superhero where his power is bomb making.
I guess so.
He's the Unabomber.
Oh no, that's not good. That's not good. Now every game has a bad message and a terrible taint attached to it. The terrible taint of Bomberman. That's the episode's title.
Yeah, and we're gonna. Bomberman probably had a manifest.
He's all man. Some taint with a manifest. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. He's gonna give you his bombs. Oh no. Hope they're not love bombs. Oh. Not to be confused with Love Guns, which is a song not really about anything much better. There's also some very, very bad men that are attached to Bomberman. I don't know if it's most, but several of the games of the series, or at least some of the more beloved ones, you get the 5 dastardly bombers, which they're all pains in the ass, to be honest. I hated going up against them in Super Bomberman 2. The closest that I ever got, I got up to the 4th one.
Yeah.
And I could not beat that guy. He was too fast, too furious, and I couldn't do it. I also got grounded way too much, so by the time I had actually built up the stamina and the know-how to actually get up to this freaking guy, I'd get grounded again, and then I'd lose all my momentum. So I never got a chance to actually I never knew what my potential was.
And I'm pretty sure there was no save feature in Bomberman. I think it was just there might have been a password feature, but I don't think there was a save feature in Super Bomberman 2.
I don't even remember a password feature. I think once you died, you died.
Yeah. So you had to start. That's what made the game even more harder, because you had to play it all in one sitting and not die. Oh. The 5 evil cyborgs, the 5 dastardly bombers, are so reminiscent of the Robot Masters in Mega Man, though. Also, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So there's definitely there was a definite influence on Mega Man or from Mega Man in Bomberman, and that's pretty clear to I think anyone that could has eyes.
Oh yeah, and I mean he's also got a kangaroo named Louie or Rui, that just that where Bomberman rides on their backs, and they are also green, so that takes a page out of Yoshi's book, and because they're kangaroos, they can, perhaps they could launch him a little bit if they wanted to. I don't know if they do in in any of the other games. I haven't played all of them, but if they do that, that could be borrowing from is his name Ruff or Rex, the dog from Mega Man, or am I totally off?
I think the dog from Mega Man is it Zero? No, Zero is somebody else.
Zero's the person.
Yes.
The other robot.
What is the dog from Mega Man? Let's see.
I want to say it's Ruff, but I could be, but I'm probably wrong. We'll have to do a Mega Man episode at some point, too.
Yeah. Mega Man. Oh, it's Rush.
Okay, Rush, that's what it was. I
Rush
knew that
the
I was
dog.
wrong, but I was close on Rough. Anyway, another in most of the games, similar to Mega Man, with a Dr. Wily as his main antagonist, the main antagonist in a lot of the video games is Professor Bagura. So he's similar to Dr. Wily, an old man, like an elderly man with a big beard.
Yeah.
But he does wear a monocle and a cape, so the man's got quite a bit going for him. He's a spiffy individual.
The difference, the 5 Dastardly Bombers are also similarly named to the Robot Masters, where instead of saying, like, Cut Man or stuff like that, it's Golem Bomber, Pretty Bomber, Brain Bomber, and their leader, Plasma Bomber.
Don't forget Magnet Bomber.
Magnet Bomber. Yeah, so it's basically like, again, the Robot Masters, similar naming scheme to that.
Yes, Brain Bomber's name is actually Phantom Bomber in Super Bomberman R. Which I kind of like Phantom Bomber a little bit better. Actually, Phantom Bomber is a cool band name.
Phantom Bomber also sounds like something that they would name like a serial killer.
Oh, God. I hope not. I hope we don't get a Phantom Bomber.
Yeah, we don't want a Phantom Bomber.
A Phantom Bomb also sounds like if you fart and you leave the room just in time. And
then someone else enters the room behind you?
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't see you?
That's definitely...
All right, let's upload that to Urban Dictionary. We just
Oh my god, yeah, Phantom Bomber. I'm on it.
But anyway, I mean, it's a great game. It's a great little game. It's a fun multiplayer game. If you haven't, play the classic games, because they're the best ones, really. Bomberman 64, Super Bomberman 2, those are really the best ones. So they're definitely worth checking out and playing. And
if you're an anime fan, go right ahead and check out the Mega Man.
He almost said the Mega Man.
I did almost say the Mega Man. Check out the Bomberman animes, and also if you're Canadian, why don't you check out the dub and let us know how it goes? Tell us in the comments if you like the Bomberman anime, or if you even knew that it existed. Go ahead and let us know. But I am glad that they've been reviving it slightly over the past couple of years. I hope that Super Bomberman R2. There we go. Another man that's super, but not a bomb. But he's all man from Krypton. I'm glad that they've been reviving it and bringing it back, and I expect a strong showing from Super Bomberman R2. Bomberman R has gotten some pretty decent reviews. It's mixed-ish, but mostly in the upper. In the upper scale, we're seeing 67. We're seeing anywhere between low 60s through a 7.5 on the scores, depending on who you are. That's not terrible, but it's also, not. It's also not amazing. So I think that it's worth checking out. Nintendo Life gave it an 8 out of 10, which is interesting, but also it might be better on the Switch as opposed to some of the other ones. I'm not sure. I haven't played it yet. I would like to. But if you can get a hold of Bomberman, I would suggest get yourself a Super Nintendo or a NES and just go to town on it. Just play, have fun, don't break stuff. Try to break the Super Nintendo controller. I guarantee you will not be able to. And on top of that, just have fun and don't get grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the show. We've got, it looks like we've just wrapped up a quick one for you today. But we appreciate each and every one of you for listening to us every week. And so for those of you who doze off every once in a while and come back, we appreciate you too. Anybody who's told their friends about us in one way or another, or have just had us on in the vicinity while other people have just been in the room, thank you. We appreciate you. And we want to keep doing this, so we will.
For those of us that just put us on to drown out the existential dread that they have every day living in a dying planet, well, thank you too.
Well, that went bleak. We're going to get some phantom bombers out of this. Well,
no.
Also, if you've got a phantom bomb cooking up in your body, just make sure you get out of the room. But don't warn anybody in it.
Yep.
Alrighty. This has been Bomberman. This has been Why Does This Exist? I have been Chris.
And I've been Rob.
And remember, question everything.
Good night, everybody.